Hi everyone, this is JC Contreras, just a curious tech guy. Thank you for joining this video screencasting presentation. In this new video, we are going to solve an integration issue between Oracle database and SQL Server database. Let me show you the current actors in this scenario. So at the left corner, we have Oracle database 18C pluggable database. In the right corner, we have a Microsoft SQL Server database 2019. In the middle, we have the tool which will be able to solve the integration issue. It is ODI 122140. So what is the problem? We need to move metadata and data between one Oracle schema to another schema, but located in a SQL Server database. For the sake of this video, I am going to use the HR example schema from Oracle. It has 7 tables on it. We can move all of them to SQL Server or just the tables needed along with data and constraints and other objects related to make useful ODI mappings. I already have a pluggable database installed on my server. Also, my database listener is up and running. So let's move to my ODI Studio. I will connect to my ODI repository, which was created inside my Oracle pluggable database. Okay, so I will connect to my ODI Studio console from my desktop by clicking on the icon. Next, click on the Connect to Repository option. ODI is asking for my wallet password. I will confirm my connection will be with my ODI supervisor account. If I click in the pencil icon, then I will be able to edit the connection parameters. I am not going to modify anything. I just want to show you guys how I did the configuration. In this window, the important section had to be with the database connection section. Keep in mind the username deb.odi repo is actually the database schema in my Oracle database. The URL string contains the host name, the database port, and the name of the service which identify my Oracle database. So I did confirm that I will connect to the right server and the right database, also with the correct user. So let's go ahead and click in the OK button. Let's click OK again. Now I will create a new project to keep the ODI mappings. These mappings are going to transfer data from Oracle to SQL Server or the other way around as well. So let's name this project as project 1. As you can see, ODI will generate my first folder for me. This folder is going to keep my packages, mappings, and procedures. So far, so good. But our mappings still need to know what tables or data stores are they going to integrate between Oracle and SQL Server. That is why we need to create a model in ODI to get the tables structure from the Oracle database, specifically from the HR schema. Also, ODI needs to know what will be the topology configuration to connect to the Oracle and SQL Server databases. So now from the model section, we can set up all this stuff in one shot by just clicking the new model and topology objects. So let's click on it. So let's name the model as Oracle model. I will keep the same name for the logical schema. There are several technologies available here, but the one we are interested in is Oracle. So the context will be the global context. So now click on next. Here is the bottom line of this process, and we need to provide the connection to our Oracle data server. So let's name this data server as Oracle DS. The username will be the ODI repo, and the password as secure password. And now in the URL section, we have to provide the host name, the port, and the service name related to our pluggable database. Okay, after filling out the information needed, we can click on test connection. And this connection is successful, so click OK and click on next. So the work schema will be the same, HR. So click on finish to confirm all the information. Now the model is visible at the left side. If I click on the save button at the top of the screen, as you can see the model, if I expand the model, there are no tables visible yet. So what I have to do is to perform a reverse engineer process. Now we can reverse all the tables from the HR schema or just select a few of them from the selective reverse engineer option. So I will click here in the selective reverse engineer. Next, click on the check in this checkbox. And let's click here to visualize the tables on the HR schema. Once I selected all, execute the reverse. Do you want to proceed? Yes. At the end of the process, all the tables will be visible here. Here we have all the tables reversed, but now it's time to create a new model, and the new model will hold the tables from SQL Server. So let's create a new model with the same option, new model and topology objects. I will name this model as model SQL, and the technology this time will be SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server. And the logical schema, I will keep the same name, the context, the global as the default. Click on next. And here is all, again, the most important part. I have to set up all the connection parameters. So the name of the data server will be something like DSSQL. The username, the user will be HR, the password, a secure password. The driver list lets me select one of the drivers available according to the technology that I am reversing. So the one that I'm going to choose is this one, Microsoft SQL Server Data Direct JDBC driver. This is by default the string that he typed in the driver, and inside the URL I have to specify the host name, the port, the database name, and I know some of the parameters, but I have to check my SQL Server configuration to figure it out the other ones. For example, I don't know what is the port, so let's go ahead to the SQL Server console to confirm what is the port related. Actually, it's not from the SQL Server Management Studio where I can find the port, but I need to access the configuration manager in the SQL Server site. So I will open this SQL Server 2019 Configuration Manager. I'm going to run as administrator. Start up the SQL Server. So now the SQL Server is running, and the way to identify what is the port used by this SQL Server is here in the protocols under the SQL Server network configuration. So I will open this option, and the TCP/IP IP address tab. At the end, I want to see that the port used to be 1433. However, in my environment, the port is different. So with this information, I can go back to our ODI studio and type in the information in the URL string. So let's click the test connection button. The connection is successful, so that's a good news. Click on next. In this new window, I have to specify the name of the database catalog, the owner, and the database name in a SQL Server site. So the catalog in my case will be HRDB. That's the way that I name it in SQL Server. The owner of the schema will be the same. I specify all the names as the same to avoid confusion when specifying this information. So now I can click on finish. So as you can see, there is now a new model, but in the model section. However, there are no tables yet in the SQL Server side. So what I have to do now is to create a new diagram here. In the new diagram, I will drag and drop the tables from Oracle. So let's name this diagram as DGSQL. It is asking if I want to log the object to prevent other users to access it. So I'm going to do it. Next, I have to drag and drop the tables, as I said before, from Oracle. It's asking confirmation because he's saying that this is going to move from a different model. So I'm going to click OK. Asking again to log the table. I will click yes. I will keep the same name for the table countries. So I'm going to click in the save button. Again, this message, click yes. I have to repeat the same for all the tables in my diagram. So I saved this already. As you can see, the countries table is visible in the diagram now. Let's drag and drop now the table departments. The same message again. We do the same for all the tables. As you can see, all the tables are visible now in my diagram. However, the tables are still not created in the SQL Server side. In order to generate these tables in SQL Server, what I have to do now is right-click here in the model and use the option Generate DDL. It's saying, do you want to process only tables in the Oracle Data Integrator model? I will click yes. It's generating the sentences. A new ODI procedure will be created. This procedure will keep the DDL statements to migrate the selected tables from Oracle to SQL Server. So I will select all the tables. The creation of the procedure is in progress now. We can see the procedure have some task, and each task have to do with the DDL statements to be executed in SQL Server. So now we can proceed to execute the procedure by right-clicking on it. Next, click in the Run option. Click OK to confirm the execution. It said the session started, so click OK. I will confirm the execution is going well. So in order to do that, I have to click in the Operator tab. Green light is a good sign, so that is a good news. It looks like all the statements were executed successfully. So now let's review from SQL Server. The tables are already there. Okay, so from my SQL Server Management Studio, I will connect by using Windows Authentication. After connecting, I will expand the database section. And as you can see, there are one database named as HRDB. This is the one that we are referencing from ODI. Let's expand this database. In the table section, we are going to see, I expect to see the same HR tables as in Oracle. So it looks like the ODI procedure was able to create the tables or replicate the same tables from the HR schema. However, all these tables are empty. The reason is from ODI, we just did the execution of the procedure to create the tables in SQL Server, but we still didn't execute some mapping. So we have to go back to ODI. In ODI, in the model section, by right-clicking the model, the SQL Server model, we can execute the option Generate Mappings in order to generate one mapping per table. I am going to click OK again to generate the mappings. Now the ODI is displaying one of the mappings, the mapping which is loading the table countries. So let's verify if we can see the other mappings as well. So they are visible also. So I am going to execute these mapping countries in order to load data into the SQL Server table. I will confirm by clicking OK. The session is started. We'll verify the execution was successful by clicking the operator tab. As you can see, it looks like the execution was successful. If I right click the table in ODI, I can verify if the data was loaded. There are several records already. Let's verify the same in the SQL Server Management Studio. I will right click the countries table and I will execute this option, edit top 200 rows. That is an absolutely successful execution. So this is the end of this video. The current exercise is also valid to integrate other type of databases. ODI is quite versatile. Thank you very much for watching. I will appreciate your thumbs up and likes in LinkedIn and my YouTube channel. So see you next time.